Hey everybody, I'm Pastor Rick Countryman, and welcome to Parents Making Disciples. Jesus said in Matthew chapter 28 that we were to go and make disciples, and certainly that means we as parents ought to be making disciples of our own children or our own teenagers. This is episode number 2, and today I'm going to be talking about the fact that every child needs to know that God has a special plan for their life. And last week in episode 1, I talked about the fact that every child needs to know that they're uniquely created by God. Genesis 1:1 says that in the beginning God created, and then he creates on day 6 human beings. We're the imago Dei, we're made in their image, and every kid needs to know that. That's something every mom and dad needs to be teaching their children. That's something that grandmas and grandpas can be teaching their grandkids. And it doesn't matter how old or young your kids are. Your kids may be teenagers. They still need to hear that. You need to reinforce that in their life. And not only does every child need to know that they're uniquely created by God, but in this episode, I just want to talk about the fact that every child needs to know that God has a special plan for their life. So they're unique in the fact that they're created way different than any of the other things that God created. But they're also, God has a special, unique plan for their lives. Ephesians chapter 2, Paul wrote this. He said, "For we are God's masterpiece. Your children are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Christ Jesus so we can do the good things he planned for us long ago." So we are his masterpiece. Your children are God's masterpiece. And he created them with this incredible purpose, this unique plan. And that plan that he created for you and your children was thought of way, way before they were ever born, before the creation of the world. And your children need to know that. They need to know that God has a very unique plan for their life. And by the way, Mom, Dad, it's important for you to spend a lot of time praying and asking God, help me to understand what it is about my son, my daughter that makes them unique. What might that special plan be? In fact, Proverbs chapter 22 says, "Train up a child in the way that they should go." Okay? And it doesn't say train up a child in the way you think they ought to go, which is what a lot of parents do. They really believe that their kid is supposed to go to college. They really believe that their kid is supposed to, continue on in the family business. Parents will have an idea or a thought of what they believe the way their child is to go. But God says, no. It's okay for you to have a plan. But remember, you're to train that child up in the way that they're supposed to go. And just because you think your child should go to college, that doesn't mean that maybe they ought to go to college. Just because you think your child ought to go into the family business, that doesn't mean that that's what they're supposed to do. But you're to pray and seek God and seek counsel, seek wisdom. But the idea is you're letting your child know that they are a masterpiece created by God and that God has a special plan for their life. They may not know what that plan is yet. You may not know what that plan is yet, but I can guarantee you that God has a special plan for you and he has a special plan for your child. And as a parent, that's something you need to communicate to your child over and over and over again, that not only did God create them in his image, but that God created them for a purpose. And what an incredible adventure it is to discover what that purpose is and then to live that purpose out. And that is one of the things that we as parents are to help our children know and understand. In other words, that's how we disciple them. It's one of the things that every child needs to know. Hey, listen, if this has been a blessing to you, make sure you hit subscribe. Tell your friends about this. And if this is your first time looking, you can go back to the YouTube page and look at episode 1. And we'll look forward to seeing you next Wednesday, okay? Blessings, everybody.